Hello, and welcome to Remembering Together, the LMJ's podcast. I'm your host, Matt Harold. Each month, we explore the many ways Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia touch our lives, from personal stories of families affected by this disease to the ongoing efforts to find a cure. Join us as we raise awareness, share support, and learn together about the impact of Alzheimer's on nearly 7 million people worldwide. Let's remember together and work toward a future where no one faces this disease alone. Welcome to Remembering Together, an LMJ's podcast. We have made it to episode number 9, and because we're going to make it into double digits here soon, I wanted to have our largest audience possible of guests with me today. So the good news is I love to talk. But the bad news is I have also a lot of people that like to talk. So I'm going to do a lot less talking than I normally do, and I'm going to let our guests talk. As I mentioned, we're breaking a record today. And what I mean by that is this is the most guests we've ever had with us. So I have the three longest advocates to LMJ's, Lost Souls Alzheimer's Fund, with me today. They're going to talk about a lot of personal things, both their impact, the impact that they felt from Alzheimer's, and also what they're doing within Alzheimer's and Alzheimer's research. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the three of them. First is all the way on the other side of the table, all the way over there, Betsy Skibinski. Betsy is with Betsy's One-of-a-Kind Custom Jewelry. She is also a longtime advocate of Alzheimer's research and support. Betsy, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I love being here. I'd love to talk about this subject. I've been a jewelry designer for 40 years, and I have a studio in my house. It's a 1,000-square-foot room at 2 million beads, 16-foot wall, 400 necklaces, and 5 tables of costume jewelry. These people have all been great customers. You've all been to the room. You all know what the room looks like. And it just brings me great joy. And I go to 4 retirement homes and do jewelry repair for the ladies. And that's my give back to the community, because they're so touched when I repair something that they've had broken forever.
Betsy, thank you. And I've the Oh My God room and
Yes.
and what you do with all of those retirement communities, and that is awesome. So appreciate you being here. We'll get more into Alzheimer's here in a little bit. Let me introduce our next guest with us, Susan Brushaber. She's a committed philanthropist who works in the healthcare industry, and along with Betsy, has been a longtime advocate for Alzheimer's research and support. Susan, thank you for being here today.
I work for Ascension Heart and Vascular, and I also help my husband with his real estate company, Patrick Real Estate Group of Illinois. I've been also an avid bike rider, and recently avid pickleball player.
But the fad, you picked it up. Yeah, there you go.
And but my passion is helping others with the Alzheimer's cause, and I've been enjoying doing that with these lovely ladies and Matt. I've gone back with him for a while.
Thank you so much for being here, Susan, and thank you for all you've done. Last but not least, the closest person to me, Cathie Cook, is the co-owner of Pinos Palette South Barrington, and also a longtime advocate and supporter of all the things Alzheimer's related and LMJ's related. So, Cathie, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. So I am one of the owners of the Pinos Palette in the Arboretum of South Barrington. We're now on our 10th year, so we made it a whole decade, believe it or not. And prior to that, my career was in the insurance industry for over 20 years, which was something that I needed at that time, and it really brought me to the next phase of my life. Everything happens for a reason. I have 2 daughters, Caitlin and Krista. They're 33 and 35, and one of them works for me. And I have 2 babies that are my little puppy dogs, Lila Rose and Bella Grace. They're the babies now that get spoiled like the first set of dogs didn't. So I'm an animal lover. I like to volunteer with everything, everywhere, all the time. I think I have 4 walks coming up between September and October, between breast cancer, Alzheimer's, the American Prevention for Suicide, and I think the other one is the other Alzheimer's walk. So the very first Alzheimer's walk I ever did was in 2005, and that was the very first time that I heard that they were doing that kind of a walk. And I just recently had lost my grandma a couple years before that, so I really felt I needed to do that, be there for her. Prior to that, I was doing the breast
awesome.
cancer walks. Thank you.
I think you guys, all come from a different experience, and what I'm a little shocked that none of you talked about is how active you are in terms of a couple of large business organizations. So if either anyone wants to take it on, I didn't hear SBA or
Yes.
GOA, and I was stunned to hear that. So anyone who wants to take it,
Yes.
let us know what you do. I know you guys are very passionate in what you do. So yes,
I've
who
been
wants to
in-
take it?
I've been in SBA for 23 years. I'm one of the, they call me the grandma.
OG.
The grandma of the group. I don't know. I just love it so much. And I love all the people. I love all the activities. And it makes me very happy because I love to get all these people that are new and help them get involved within SBA as well. I'm an ambassador with SBA as well as GOA, the Greater O'Hare Association. So I feel like between the two, I have able to do some good work and helping the organizations get new members, keep new members, give ideas for things if there can be any changes that can be made.
And I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the connection of the people you've met at this table and throughout LMJ's, primarily from those connections, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and Cathie, I know obviously you're heavily involved in the SBA as well,
Yes.
like Betsy is.
I'm involved in 4 chambers. So our studio's in South Barrington. I used to be in the Barrington Chamber, but didn't realize that under the South Barrington or the Arboretum's umbrella, I don't have to actually be a member. So I'm in Northern King County, Bartlett, Hoffman Estates, but the Schaumburg Business Association keeps us very busy.
It's awesome.
And I'm an ambassador as well, and just like to help people. Even before I was an ambassador, I just think I authentically helped whoever needed help.
It's awesome. I think the key, because when I go back and look at like when LMJ's, well before LMJ's, it was like I met Carrie Ann through the GOA. I met Lori, who was at that point an employee or a former employee and then became an employee again. That's how we met, and it's like those connections that you don't realize how deep it becomes to what it is now for all of us.
Right.
Way different than probably what we thought it was going to be, because let's talk about business and all that, and it's way more than just business. So appreciate all the support you guys, I know, give to the community from a business association standpoint. But we're here to talk about, obviously, this is the LMJ's podcast. So Betsy, I'll start with you. Let's talk about your personal connection to Alzheimer's and dementia, and what makes a pillar of why you're so passionate about this.
My mother developed Alzheimer's, and she had it for 12 years. She lived in Arizona, and I lived in Palatine, so it was very difficult to be her caregiver from afar. So I literally talked to everybody over in Arizona every day. I got a call for something. My father moved her into a large place to live until he passed away. And then I couldn't move her back to Palatine because of the fact that when they sold the big apartment, that money went to care for her across the street at the care center. So then she was locked into being out there. So I had to keep traveling back and forth. And it started out when she was falling.
Yeah.
She just kept falling and cutting open her head, and she couldn't come to my son's wedding, which was terribly upsetting to me that she couldn't fly. And because of all that, I just got very involved. I didn't know anything about Alzheimer's when I started. I've been on Carrie Ann's Alzheimer team for over 10 years. But my little segment within the group is kind of a little different than everybody else does. I'm the speaker.
Yes.
Yes.
Guess that.
I'll get in. We'll get a little bit more into that, but let's talk about kind of with your mom and how that went. So, kind of progression. How long did she have it? What was
Yeah.
it like for you to kind of go through that?
Well, it was difficult because when I would come out there to visit, I would put my purse and my keys on the counter, and I'd go into the bathroom quick, and she'd hide them, and I'd go, okay, Mom, we have to go. Wait a minute, where's my purse? Well, I don't know. And I'd say, Mom, where did you put my purse? And so this was a constant hiding of things, and she became an OCD about certain things that couldn't be out anymore, that she had to have put away, which made it very difficult. But because of the fact that she had a big car, a big Cadillac, and that car became her whole world. And when I had to take away the car keys, I became the daughter from hell. She was going to take me out of the will. She was so angry at me, and I didn't know what to do. At that point, I didn't have anybody to talk to tell me, Betsy, don't do this. Betsy, do this.
Right.
And so I struggled along, plodded along, and did the best I could. But since then, I have realized what I have learned I can pass on to others. So she got over at the care center then, and I had to make a large apartment go into a one room. And the closet in the one room was this big, and the closet in her big apartment, she had 200 pairs of shoes and
Jeez.
all kinds of stuff. So it was a lot of whittling down of things and keeping her from crying. And
That's
course.
hard too.
and,
Yeah.
and I could just see, and it got to the point where people wouldn't sit with her at the table at dinner anymore because she would tell the same story over and over and over, and the people got tired of hearing the story. So they said, Jeannie, we don't want you to sit with us because you do this. And so they ended up putting her at a table by herself, which broke my heart. Now, when she came to Arizona from Rockford, Illinois, she was ahead of all the volunteers at the hospital. And so when she came to Arizona, she became ahead of the volunteers at Boswell Community Hospital. Now, we had a big job there with all these volunteers, and as time went on, she started forgetting things, and she became confused, and they told her they took away her job. And that really accelerated everything,
The decline,
because
yeah.
it's like everything that she loved was
Taken away,
missing.
right.
And she didn't do well with that, and I kind of became the sounding board, and I was trying to understand, but obviously I didn't understand everything that was going on. It's not like it is today.
No.
Back then, I feel like I was in the Conestoga wagon period of time when there wasn't a lot of information about Alzheimer's that like there is today.
What year was this?
But
What year?
I don't know.
It's interesting you talk about that, though, because on a previous podcast, we had Dr. Gittleman was here, and he was talking about, things that happened. I believe we were talking about 1990 or 1985 is what he said.
Yeah.
And we talk about things like that, and let's just use 1990 for conceptual purposes. That's 35 years ago.
Right.
And so, when you do the math and people talk about that and how much has changed since
Yes.
you went through the experience,
Yes.
it's amazing. But it's also, you're just time, how quickly things can, in a positive way, from a very negative experience, really get moving. I mean, in a positive direction, and it's still not there, as we know, but you were at a very, very completely different point years ago. Right.
But yet, she did a lot of strange things. When I was trying to pack up all of her stuff, and it was a big, huge apartment, I had to pack up into a one room. So I had to get rid of stuff. And so whenever I would pack something during the day, she would unpack it as soon as I packed it.
Yes,
And that
that's
made me
common.
crazy. And so then the only way I could pack her up was to do it in the middle of the night. And then I didn't get any sleep. So then I was dragging around. I don't do well without sleep. So that was a terrible, terrible time when all that went on. Then I had to hire her a driver. I hired her a driver because she wanted to still keep her car. And so I got an agency out in Phoenix, and come to find out that the guy that they picked out for her was 6'5". He was a Afro-American guy, and he was a definite Adonis, a number 10. And my mother is 5 feet tall. And she would just look up at him with these goo-goo eyes. She just had the biggest crush on this guy. And he would take her out every day to lunch and take her places, take her shopping. They'd go to the dollar store. She thought that was the best.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I don't know, eventually, we had to stop all that because he was taking her places that I'd call her and I'd say, well, what did you do today? Well, I went to a Rock'em and Sock'em movie. Well, what did you see? I don't know, but it was loud. And I said, well, did it make you happy? And she said, well, he bought me Coke and popcorn, so I was happy. And I thought, okay, this has to stop.
Right.
You know, this wasn't working well, but it was like driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
And she became very cunning. When she got into the memory unit, she would sit by the door. And so when people would come in, she'd go, oh, thank you for holding the door for me. And she'd scoot out
Yep.
because she wanted to look for her car.
Yep.
And so, fortunately, she never got far because you hear about all these people that are wandering.
Right, yeah.
And-
Missing and that, yeah, right.
And she just did some very strange things. But as a daughter, I love my mom so much.
Yeah.
And I did everything possible for her. I even had 2 instances where I got to do something most people don't get to do when they have a parent. I went out to her one time in Arizona. I flew out. I saw her sitting by herself, and she has this little smile on her face, and she's so cute sitting there. And I came over, and I sat knee to knee to her, and I held her hands. I said, Mom, hi, I'm here to see you. And she looked at me, and she said, oh, you're so pretty. What's your name?
Yeah.
And I said, my name is Betsy. And she said, Betsy, that's such a nice name. And then she just kept looking at me intently like she was trying so hard. And I think that she knew in the back of her head information, but yet the
Couldn't get it
synapses
to the
didn't
front,
connect
right,
to
right.
get it out. And then a tear came down her cheek, and that's when I knew that I had gotten through to her, and she knew I was there for her.
Yeah.
And the second time was when I was at home. I got a message on my machine to call the care center. My mother wanted to talk to me. She hadn't talked in a year. And so I called, and the nurse said, just a minute, she's right here. My mother got on the phone, and she said, Betsy, hi, when are you coming to see me? And I started crying.
Yeah.
And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I'm flying out on Sunday this weekend to see you. She said, oh, good. Then we can do the girlfriend thing. We can go shopping and have lunch. So we did. So then when we got done with the lunch, then when the phone call was over, she said, I have to go, I'm very busy. And she hung up. She hung up. And the nurse said she went right back to her state the minute she hung up the phone. And so that was, I consider, a true blessing, because not everybody gets to go back into the past with them, because they know things from the past, but they can't tell you what they
No.
ate 5 minutes ago.
100%.
Right.
It's interesting you talk about, and it reminds me of the way you talk about life and how you go into this, you come into the world as like someone who needs all the help you can get, and you leave the world in a very similar fashion. And so you know, and in a sad way, you know, it reminds you of the story of like the kid who gets at the lunch table and isn't sitting by anybody. You know, there's that example.
Yep.
And then being a newer parent, that you spoke really, they pack and then they take it out when they're
Right.
trying to pack.
That's
the
true.
worst feeling in the world, because I know that going on vacation with my children. I'm like, no, I'm trying
going through it
we're
right
trying to
now.
get through this. And but to your point, and that's and there's no reasoning, and there's no reasoning with a toddler, and there's no reasoning with somebody who's going through what your mom did. So appreciate you being so candid with that. And I'm going to move on to Susan. Susan, if you want to talk about what your personal impact is, and kind of what your experience has been like in the Alzheimer's journey.
So for me, it was my grandmother. My grandmother, I was adopted by my grandmother when I was a baby, and she took care of me. And when I had my children, I have 3 children, and she would babysit. So that was their great-grandma that was babysitting them. And she was so sweet and gentle and kind. And she was babysitting for my children until she was about 80, which was wonderful. But then she started leaving the gas on the oven. She would leave stuff in laundry in the bread box. She would misplace things, and then we got worried. And so then we would be like, well, my grandpa's got to stay with her, because he would be going golfing and drop her off. So then my grandpa had to start staying with her. And then she would just continually start forgetting things. And I had a daughter with special needs, so then it started getting complicated because of medication and such. So then they went on a vacation to Florida, and she broke her shoulder. And then when she came back from that broken shoulder, she just really went into full-fledged Alzheimer's. Like she became. I never heard her swear before.
Yeah.
She started swearing at my grandpa, like he's leaving her, very insecure. Like, I never heard her do that before. And then she became nonverbal, and then she became that she started shuffling, like she couldn't remember how to walk. And then she went into the wheelchair. And so it took a few years. I guess 3 years is relatively quick, from 80 to 83, those 3 years, how she went down so fast. But it was powerful. We were fortunate that my grandpa was healthy enough to keep her at home and take care of her.
Wow.
Like he had to change her diaper.
It's amazing at that age to be able to care for another person.
Yes, it's true love.
Yeah.
And then I would help. Like I would go and I'd stay and watch. And while my grandpa went grocery shopping, like we would help each other. So, it's powerful, life-changing. And I think, that's why the passion is there, to help the cause, to help people like my grandma, because sometimes those simple pleasures in life mean a lot for someone suffering. She became nonverbal, so we really didn't know what she wanted. It was difficult, but it's interesting how everyone's so different, how they react. And but my grandpa would never actually acknowledge he had Alzheimer's. He always said she had dementia.
Same.
And I think that there was some kind of stigma on that they wanted to ignore the term Alzheimer's. And I think, this was a while ago, so I think it's so much better now. People can say it. They can give support to people to help them, So that's...
Transparency about it.
I like to help people. I have a friend that mom has it, and I like to talk to her about it. What's going on with you? What's happening with your mom? And, so I feel privileged to help in the little ways that I can.
But I think what you bring up is so, like, the journey is so different for each person, and so, which makes it also hard when you're trying to connect with someone because, people might want to say, like, is this normal, like, with the steps? And it's like, well, no, because no two people in life are the same and are going to go through whatever it is the same. Obviously, Alzheimer's and dementia at a more rapid amount, than, someone has cancer. Typically, the process is similar, whereas how quickly someone can deteriorate with Alzheimer's and they can't speak on it, and they can't talk on it, or their body just stops working in terms of can't walk, and the ear going. But then you talk to somebody else whose parent is doing laps at the memory care facility, and they're like, wait, but they still, but they have no idea where they're walking. It's just, it's very different. So you can talk to somebody and give them comfort on it, but it's like their journey is never going to be exactly the same as what you went through, what you've gone through, and are going through. It's not, it's, I hear when you guys talk about it, and it's like, there's bits and pieces that I'm like, yeah, that's what I went through.
Yes.
But then there's other parts that I'm like, never went through that.
Right.
Thankfully, but unthankfully for you guys, for when you're talking about it. So it's just, to the people listening, and that it is a journey that is very unpredictable. So that's, the best way to describe it, and why we do what we do, why we have the outlets we have and the connections we have, is to help people who might not have any idea what to do. So, Susan, appreciate you sharing that there.
you.
Cathie, moving on to you, your personal connection to the disease.
And also, with what you were just saying, since I was at that support group today. It was an Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia and memory support group. Everybody there in this group has somebody that has Alzheimer's right now, that they're either in the facility or they're at home, or one man that I didn't realize, him and his daughter were there. They were about to have his wife, her mom, admitted tomorrow. So I really had a, that one kind of took me back a minute,
Yeah,
because
right.
they each had a story and everybody's experience was a little bit different. And I tried to just explain as a whole, because they were trying to figure it out. I'm like, what I've learned is the brain is the most complicated organ, because you're right, with the heart, with the liver, with anything like that, the doctors know that. With the brain, because there's so many different parts to it, there's so many different type of symptoms. And when I first experienced something, was actually, we didn't realize it, that it was in that category. My grandpa had Parkinson's disease. And this probably goes back to like the late 70s. And all I remember is like the hand shaking. And
Right.
we didn't think of it, because that's how we always saw him. But closer to the time before he passed away, he would see things. So I kind of think, looking back, that he might have had Lewy bodies,
Right.
Alzheimer's,
Potentially,
which now they're connecting
Yes, but
with Parkinson's, like, 'cause they
55
can
years ago, there was
right.
no
No.
thought of connecting it.
And
Yes.
he ended up passing away in 1988. And it was in that year that he was all of a sudden seeing things like, oh, look at see that little boy in the doorway? And there's no little boy in the doorway. It was just a lot. And then after that, it was just one after another. Then his wife, which was my grandma on my mom's side, she forgot everything after he passed away, and she forgot who I was. What she did remember was my mom's name was Marilyn, so everybody was called Marilyn. Oh, hi, Marilyn. So we were all Marilyn. And then my first daughter, happened to be born on my grandma's birthday, and that was last year. Well, my grandma died 1 year later, so she was around for the first year.
Okay.
And I remember bringing her there, and she just would say, "Baby, baby." So it was baby. So she was happy to see her, but she would look at pictures of my grandpa, and she would say, "He's cute, but he has no feet." He had no hair, but she couldn't think of the word.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, it was just that at that point I didn't realize what was happening, because I was a teenager, 20.
Right.
With my other grandma, I was a little bit older. I was in my 20s, and I think it hit me the hardest the first time I went to go visit her in Georgia. They had all moved there the summer before my dad passed away. So the next year I went there to visit, and there was a picture that she had. She didn't know who we were at that point, so within that year she forgot us. And I think the trauma of losing my dad is probably what put her from forgetting things to not really knowing anything. She thought she was 17, so she was kind of in a stage where she was having fun, because she thought she was 17. So when you're 17, everything's fun. But we came into her house, and there was a picture.
It's a whole nother experience, right? Yeah. You're going,
There was a picture I'd never seen that was on her table, and she called it her rogues gallery. And I said, "Is that Grandpa in that picture?" She goes, "Oh no, that's my son, Alan. But you wouldn't know him because he died." And my sister and I just broke into tears, because that was her dad that had just died the year before.
wow.
So that's how much she had forgotten. So she just thought we were people coming to visit, and she'd say, how long have I known you? When did we meet? And I said, "You've known me your whole life." And that was just within that 1 year time. But I think the trauma of losing a child, and you're already starting to experience memory loss, could trigger that more.
Right.
And my grandpa, when they moved to Georgia, it's because my other family already lived there. They had already moved there. My grandma and grandpa had retired to Arkansas. He was embarrassed that she was forgetting things, so he didn't want to bring her out with their friends or go to
Right.
church, because he was proud of the fact that she was an intelligent woman. And now that she couldn't remember things, they moved there, and that way he could just keep her with the family. And she lived with him all the way till she was 91. And then my aunts would come over and check on them all the time, because they lived near them, and they said he was sitting funny in his chair. He didn't want to admit, I think he broke his back or his neck, but he didn't want to admit that, because they knew he'd have to go to the hospital and she wouldn't be able to stay at the house.
Oh my God.
So then now we go 25 years later, and it's happening with the generation just right before me, which is my aunts that help take care of her. My one aunt has got memory issues now, and she's living in an assisted living. This one's really hard on me because I haven't had a mom in 30 years, so she's been my mom.
Right.
That's who I'd stay with when I go to Georgia, and she still thinks that when I come there to visit, I can come and just stay with her in her assisted living facility, because she'll say, well, I have a queen-size bed here, so we could share the bed. But she doesn't,
No.
it's the same stuff. And even with my grandma, when I would go there, and I didn't know about Alzheimer. I mean, I didn't really know things at that point. I was 25. What did I know? But when I'd go there and she would say, oh, I built that deck outside. I'm like, oh, that looks great. My grandpa would go, Ethel, you did not build that deck. And I said, you did a great job. She grew up on a farm in South Dakota, and if she thinks she's 17, she might have built a deck when she was on the farm in South Dakota. He didn't know her then. Or she'd say, this weekend, my brother's going to take me to go to the barn dance. We're going to see Lawrence Welk. And so I had to look it up, and Lawrence Welk lived in the Dakotas in that era. So I'm like, she really is thinking that. I mean, it didn't
It's amazing.
fun.
Though. But,
Yeah.
but it's like
Towards the end, it was
all three
difficult.
of you have had very
At the end,
similar
it was,
experiences, but just the story and the path of how you've gotten, or how it, obviously we know what the end looks like, but
Right.
where does that end? And the end is different. Susan, yours was quick. That's,
Few years.
that
Mine
in
has
my
never
opi-
ended.
That's quick. In terms, their longer journey,
Yeah.
and it's. Then you hear stories of people like they go in 6 months. In my opinion, 3 years is very quick, but it's just what happens. Really, at the end, there's. Everything happens. It's just how long is it that
Right.
everything you
end
went
is
through
bad.
happened in 3 years. If it takes 10 years, it's more spread out. But it's the same types of things that happen. But when it happens in a very short period of time, it feels like this was a different experience. But at the end of the day, it's the same experience, just in a
different.
how quickly can you consume it? It's kind of feeling there. So, all of you, I know I have personal goals on the podcast. Getting someone to cry is always a goal. So, Susan, you've succeeded today. So I
Yeah.
appreciate
I was
that.
crying hearing Betsy's story.
That's an inside story that I share, or inside secret. There's tears. I feel like I've done a good job on the podcast, but that's it. So future guests are going to be petrified. No, and the point of this is simple. It is personal. I appreciate y'all sharing it, because not everyone's able to do what you guys do, because not everyone wants to share their feelings, and
Right.
sharing your feelings is not easy, especially when it's not pretty feelings at the end of the day. And what I mean by that, it's your family, it's your loved one. That's the pretty part of it. The not pretty part is the experience you've been through. So it's not easy to do that. So
And to
I
go
want,
through it again, going through it again now
repeat it.
is just
It's tough. It's very,
with
very tough.
both sides of the family.
So on a positive note, you guys do a lot for Alzheimer's. You do a lot for LMJs. So I want to allow each of you the opportunity to talk about what it is that you do for the nonprofit, what you did when it was Team Lost Souls, what you do for LMJs, because that part is, I don't want to say the fun of this, but it's the fun we get to have in a not so fun way of doing what we've gone through. So, Betsy, I'll start with you. You want to talk about what I cut you off when you were talking before about it. So now's your time. Let's go.
Okay. I started it with Carrie Ann so many years ago we had the Bussy Woods walk, and we had our little meetings, our little group meetings at Carrie Ann's office where she worked, and that's when her little boy Carson was such a little kid. And anyway, I felt that I had to find my niche, because I just wasn't the raffle person. I wasn't the gift person. I could help with events, but I wasn't a good organizer for events. But I could talk. And so I presented it to the group, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go out and talk. I'm going to go out and talk about Alzheimer's. I am going to tell people about the experience I had with my mother, and the goal of the talk is going to be what, when I close my talks, I say, Mother Teresa said, I throw pebbles into the ocean, and everyone creates a ripple. And I like to create a ripple by giving a talk one at a time. So since then, I have been talking for over 10 years now for Alzheimer's, and I've gotten my own speaking engagements. So it's like I have my own little niche within the group, although I help you guys, but yet I'm kind of by myself. And I have primarily gone to Rotary clubs. I have gone to probably 35 Rotary clubs in 10 years. Go to Knights of Columbus. I've gone to some libraries, some assisted living places. And what I do is I want to show them things that I learned by being with my mom, that I can help them make it easier. For example, when I went out there one time, we were doing Christmas cards. And we had the Christmas cards all laid out. We had the little return address labels. And so we were putting them on. My mother says, "That's not my address." Yeah. I said, "Mom, that is your address." "No, it's not." And it got to be very frustrating for her as for me. Now, looking back, what I should have done at those frustrating moments is I should have said, "You're right, Mom. Let's just put it away. I'll get some new return address labels. We'll put this project away and we'll come back and do it later." 5 minutes later, she didn't even remember she was doing the Christmas cards. So my point for takeaway there is that you don't argue with them. Never. You don't argue. What they say, "Do you know it's the sky is green today and a lot of purple, and here it's sunny." You just say, "You're right, it is." It's better to just go along with them.
You're never going to win.
You're never going to win.
Argument that they'll
No.
And
forget.
the other one that I found the hard way was that you don't talk about them when they are in the room when there's a doctor. The doctor would talk about my mom, and she was sitting there, and especially when it was the time about getting ready the car keys. So my mom heard this conversation, and that was extremely detrimental. If she had not heard that, maybe it wouldn't have been so terrible. But she had time to build up her anger about it, and then I became the recipient of this terrible anger. But by finding the driver that kind of coated over it so that I could help her get over the fact she wasn't driving, but someone was driving her to the point where she didn't know anymore. And so I've been giving these talks now to all these different groups. I gave a talk last Thursday to the Arlington Heights Rotary Club. That was a luncheon. Yesterday I gave a talk to the Palatine Rotary Club. That was a breakfast at 7 a.m. And trying to be perky at 7 a.m. It's not my...
You can do it. Come on now.
It's not my perky
We believe
time.
in you.
I'm not a perky woman at 7 a.m. However, I am so involved in this, and I feel so driven to present my mother and all the things that went on with her, the funny things she did, the embarrassing things that she did. She did quite a few of those. I just want to share that with other people by giving these talks. It's a 20-minute talk. It's called "Where Are My Glasses? Where Are My Keys?" And I just say, all of us have got these things that we do. We go into a room, we don't remember why we're there. Mm-hmm. We do all kinds of crazy things, like we try to get out of the car and our seatbelt's still on. Or we're driving at night and we're looking for an address and we can't see the numbers, so we turn the radio off. Why do we do that? Because we want to focus on what we're doing. And that's not bad. But when you get to the point where you go into your kitchen and you're looking for a dinner plate and you've lived in that house for 50 years, you can't find your dinner plate, that's cause for concern. You get into a car and you are driving and you can't find your way home, that's cause for concern. So a lot of the things of cognitive impairment are just things that everybody has so much on their plate right now that that's why things happen that are kind of silly. But when it comes into the serious parts, that's when you really need to get the neurologist involved and do all this testing.
Betsy, I love because you made the audience, I guarantee you, understand that analogy right there of turning down the radio when you're trying to find something. is one of,
Do you
you know.
do that?
100%. I mean, yes. And I know even people who don't want to admit that they do that because I remember the first time I did it, I was like, what am I doing? Like, what are you thinking? But yes, that's not a problem. We'll call it somewhat normal, but yes, I know, I get it, but completely different than the story you're saying. Obviously,
Right.
can't find your way home, and you've taken that same path. That's where, or gone the same way and all that. I'll never forget, the old story in Elk Grove we talk about a lot. My mom was leaving the Jewel and didn't know how to get home from the Jewel, and it was like, wait, how? Like, how is that? Obviously, a huge cause for concern there.
Yeah.
So, what you do, I know it's, and this is not the sole point of them, but what you've been able to do with the talks you've done, has generated, tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So for that, I can speak for all of us at LMJ's and throughout the years when it was just Team Lost Souls. You've done so much. So appreciate that.
I asked them if they'll give me a donation. And some of them will say, well, our group gives a donation to so-and-so, or we do it through the walk or whatever. But then, like yesterday, they said, well, although we do it somewhere else, but I'm going to get a donation from the
awesome.
Palatine Club. It's going to come now, it won't be until the next meeting for them to discuss it, how they're going to do it. But I know they're going to do it. And that makes me happy, because I don't get paid for doing any of this, but yet I just feel such joy getting the opportunity to go to a group and share my story, share what happened with my mom, so that maybe there'll be some takeaways that they can learn from. And I had a lady that cried yesterday when I was talking.
See, success. That's it. That's the definition of success. No, I'm kidding.
And I had a mom book. I brought a mom book that I had bought at at a bookstore. And in the book, I had made it while my mom was alive. And I put in all these pictures of my mom and dad, my brother, me, blah, blah, blah. And then through the years, and I wrote all these notes about what was her favorite color, when was the first time she kissed my dad, where did they go on their first date, what would she like to eat, what was her best thing to cook. And I have all this in the book so that generations now can go back and look at this. And so I'm writing a book right now just like that.
That's awesome.
So I'm writing about my life so that my people years from now, great grandkids, they can read about some of the things that I have done.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again. Susan, moving on to you.
Yes.
What it is you do for LMJ's and why you do it there.
So, I started, through the GOA, actually. I was selling Avon like many years ago. This was a few years after my grandma had passed away. I was selling Avon, and I met at a GOA event. I think they did some kind of sale, but I met Carrie Ann there. And she had a grandma that had Alzheimer's, and I had a grandma that had Alzheimer's. And so we connected, and then I started going on her walk every year. And then, and I was privileged to meet your mom. I remember your mom very well. And, it was very sad to see that. So throughout the years, I was going to the walk with Carrie Ann, and then LMJ started, and I'm like, absolutely, I want to help. Throughout the last, 10 years, I've been doing a bike ride every year. And, sometimes there's one year I only had 4 people going. Sometimes I have 30 people. Every year I do this bike ride. It's LMJ's now. It's LMJ's Ride to Remember, and that's in September. And then the best thing that I like to do with the money that I fundraise and donate to LMJ's, I love the community campaign.
Yeah.
I just have such a passion for it. So my friend's mom's in a nursing home now, and I was privileged to deliver the donation to her mom's facility. Her mom, my friend's mom, doesn't recognize people. She's in an advanced stage right now. It's so painful. But in the community campaign, they give them things to enjoy, little moments in the community room. And she grabbed a little baby doll, and she held on to that thing. And I got the biggest smile out of her mom, and I got a picture of it, and it's so wonderful that we can help impact someone's, research is very important, but also that community campaign to help patients that are actually suffering.
Yeah.
And my friend said that she loves going in there and seeing all the people use the things that we donate, and those are things that they would never have, because the facility wouldn't buy it for them. So I love that campaign, and it really helps me to feel like I'm helping other people in that situation. And it's a great organization, great people, and it's really improved my life, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Susan, thank you for what you've done and what you continue to do, and obviously the cool that you align two things you're passionate about, obviously bike riding and being part of this. So
I love that.
Yeah, so no, we appreciate that,
Yeah,
and thank you for being here today as well. So, Cathie, last but not least, we'll talk about why you're part of LMJ's and what it is, some of the things you do.
So what I had said that I had started doing those walks around 2005, and it was with, his name was Alan Kraszewski, who used to be a news anchor on some channel in Chicago.
ABC, yeah. Well,
And it was in Chicago where we go. It wasn't by Soldier Field. It was a totally different, I don't remember what it was, but I just know I did that a few years, and then the group that I walked with kind of, went their own ways and did their own thing. So I wasn't part of one of those groups, but of course it was always something I still supported. One of the reasons why I opened Pino's Palette is because we have something called Painting It Forward, which is where we do fundraisers. So I opened Pino's Palette for two reasons. Number one was to bring happiness to people, and number two was to be able to have a bigger platform to help people with fundraising. So it's not even just the fundraisers we host at our studio, it's also I can donate gift cards for everything out there too. So, like for your golf outing, for every other event too.
Awesome.
I'm able to do that. But besides, we usually host a fundraiser at the painting studio at least once a year. But besides that, I think one of my biggest strengths is raffles. Probably you're good at the tickets.
I'm the raffle queen.
She's the
really.
raffle
Come
tickets. She does the raffle tickets. I go out and I get all this stuff for the raffles. I've got people that I know that can donate things for the different raffles. So usually for the one at my event, I've got a bunch, but also for the tea party when Esther started to host the tea parties, that one.
That's
That
the
was
best.
another one.
It's
And the
the
bingo.
best event.
Like just to keep thinking of all these fun events every year. The bingo event was so fun.
Was, yes.
And I know we're having another one this
Yes.
year. So we've got 3 more fundraisers coming up
Yeah. Before the end of the year.
for the
yes.
end of the year. So
Correct.
the first one is September 6th, which is the Paint for a Purpose
Yep.
at Pino's Palette. The second one is the bike.
A Ride to Remember,
Ride to Remember.
September 20th
Yeah.
at Crank Revolution in Hoffman Estates.
And then the bingo event's on November 13th.
This was good. You guys remember dates.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well,
I'm a
November-
male, so I don't remember dates very
November
well.
13th is my wedding anniversary.
Okay, perfect.
So that's
See,
why-
golden.
And
golden.
we're having it at the Unique Banquets
Yes.
behind Moretti's.
Got it. Yes. Hit
In
it all.
Hoffman Estates.
Yes.
So
Cathie, thank you
That's
for
gonna be a lot of
all
fun.
you've done there. Obviously, it's being a business owner, you get pulled in many different directions. So appreciate how supportive you've been to many different things, but bias. Thanks for the support to LMJ's there. So, guys, thank you. Obviously, as I mentioned in the beginning, you're the 3 longest advocates when it was Team Lost Souls to now when it's LMJ. So thank you for all you've done and all you continue to do there. Obviously, both two of you up here, you mentioned your businesses, so I'll plug again because that's
Yes.
what we're here for. Betsy with Betsy's One of a Kind Custom Jewelry, and Cathie with Pino's Palette in South Barrington, and Susan, as she mentioned, the Patrick Group as well. So all very active in the community. We can't thank you enough on behalf of the other people. I drank my water. I can't fake cheers now, but in all seriousness.
I was just showing your logo.
Oh, stop it. No, I mean, I get to pub my business enough, so I appreciate that, though. But what I mean is, from Carrie Ann, Lori, and myself, thank you guys for all you've done, all you continue to do. It does take a group. We talk about it all the time when people are like, "Oh, that event you guys did was amazing."
Yes.
It's not the event. The event is made up of all of the support and all the people that are there. So I appreciate it. Again, you can find more of these ladies throughout the community a lot here. So thank you guys again. We're going to wrap up here. But as a reminder, this is a monthly podcast. Lucky enough to have 3 of our longest supporters here with us. But if you know anyone who might be able to benefit from this, who might want to come in the podcast, love to have a conversation with them and see them here, and our audience can hear them and see them as well. So thank you all for joining us today on Remembering Together, the LMJ's Lost Souls podcast. I know the information shared today was beneficial and impactful, so I hope all of you did as well. As we close, love your family, love your friends, and remember to cherish the time you spend with them, because at the end of the day, all we have is memories. Thank you.
Right.